This scenario is a simple 2 JSON, or let me mark it as array indexing, because we are trying to retrieve the value from the JSON array based on the index. So let me mark this as slicing. So I'm trying to create one more JSON array with few more values. So what if I want to retrieve first three values from the JSON array? So indexing will help you to retrieve a particular value from an index. What if I want to retrieve a group of values? For example, if I want to retrieve the first three values from this particular array, then also the same format will not change. The only thing that will change is the JSON path. Get is the keyword to get the value and give your variable name which holds the JSON object. Then dollar, the cursor has entered inside the JSON array, and here I want to retrieve the first three values, right? So I give the index as 4. So what it means is retrieve all the values starting with index 0 till n minus 1 till 4 minus 1 3, means starting with index 0 0 1 2 and 3. So starting with index value 0, retrieve first 4 values from the JSON array. So it has retrieved collection of values, right? So the result will also be again a JSON array. Let us print and see if it is JSON array or not. So I've commented the other test, right? So let me save it and run the runner file. So if you see the result here, it has printed me 4 values which are nothing but the first 4 values, right? Then if I want to retrieve the value first and second values, I mean the second and third values in the JSON array, I want to retrieve these values, then what is the JSON path? See, now we are trying to evaluate or trying to understand how the JSON path will work. So why we want to learn this in API automation is because JSON path is very important to traverse a particular JSON file. JSON file will be the means for transporting the data in the APIs. So mostly in the recent times, in the last few projects which I have worked on, all the RESTful services, 99% all the RESTful services uses JSON file to transfer the data, to store the data. So JSON path will help us in traversing those JSON files and doing the validations or building the request. So that is the reason I'm stressing a bit more on the JSON path by creating separate videos for JSON path. Yeah, coming to the requirement which we just spoke about, we want to retrieve the second, third, and let us include fourth value also. Right? So let us mark it as x2. So we want to start the value from first, right? So that will be the index 1, 1, 2, 3. We want to retrieve the three values, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So from index 1, it will retrieve 4 minus 1, 3 index still. 1, 2, and 3. It will print all these three values. So minus 23, 23.12 and 421 should be printed. Here it is. So this mechanism or this This way of retrieving the data from JSON is called slicing. And what if I want to get the last record in the particular JSON? So JSON can be of any length. It could be of 3, 4, 5, or it depends, right? So it will be dynamic every time. So in those cases, negative indexing will help you to retrieve the last value in your JSON array. So if from the starting, if I want to index the elements in a JSON, this is 0 position, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If I want to index from the reverse position, this will be -1, this is -2, this is -3, this is -4, this is -5. Let us see that. So if you want to retrieve the last value in the array, you can do this. See, the last value in the JSON element is 1. This will help you when you don't know the length of the particular array. Indexing will not help because you don't know the length of the array. So this will help you to retrieve the last value. Similarly, if you want to retrieve the last 3 values, so this is how you can write and you can retrieve the last 3 values. 3, 2, and 1. So last 3 values are retrieved. So this is how indexing will help. Okay. So then we'll go to a little complex, the moderate JSON file, and we'll see how you want to extract an element using JSON path. A moderate JSON file, we'll take it given define we'll use the normal response equals to. So if it is a multi-line, you need to go with multi-line expression, which we discussed in the last session. So I'll take the example of the JSON file. So see here, it is not a JSON array. It's a simple JSON object. We have stored that in response. When now let us examine this JSON file. Okay. So when I say dollar, it will enter here. It entered the root. It is basically the root of the particular JSON file. So when I say id value, so I'm trying to define a variable like define id value equals to I want to extract the value of the particular id, key value id. Then the syntax remains same. Get is the keyword and the variable which holds the JSON path and dollar. So I am inside the JSON file. Dot notation is what used to traverse into the child elements. So this is the next element which is present inside the JSON, right? So if I want to retrieve the ID value, then I'll go with ID. Then print ID value. So I'm trying to print it. Let me comment this. Here it is printed. Okay. So ID value is 11, right? So 11 it is printed. Similarly, if I want to get the element name, I'll use the name element. So name, the JSON element key is what you need to specify here in order to get that element. So now it is printed here, name. So let's see, you will get this particular name in the console. So this particular name is being retrieved from the JSON element. So that is a simple child elements. So what if the child element again have few more elements inside it? For example, this data. This data is the key and the value, see here, it is again a JSON object, right? So what if I want to retrieve the capacity from this particular JSON? Then it is pretty simple. firstly we need to reach here data. So we have reached here. So inside data there are again child elements, right? So again one more dot. So it will give access to all the child elements present inside the particular data object. So inside this you want to retrieve capacity, right? So specify the key. The key name should be appropriate and it should match with the keys which are present inside the JSON element. Else it will not retrieve the value. So now I trigger it. Now I should get the capacity which is present inside the JSON object 254 GB, right? So this is the JSON path to retrieve an element inside a child element. Okay. So now see, I have created this JSON file, to cover few concepts. So let us create one more. So here I want to get the last value in the release. So there are multiple releases happened. I want to get the latest release, which is nothing but the last element inside my JSON array. Right? So that is the ask, that is the requirement. So what I'll do, again, the syntax remains the same. Dollar I have entered inside the JSON file. Then there is the child element release directly accessible in the release. So in the release, it's an array.